Hey guys, I want to say welcome to the arcade. This is like one of the greatest places on earth. I love coming to the arcade. There's nothing like hitting the grand slam on this and having tickets just rolling out of the machine. But let's be honest, every time I play a machine like this one, I just lose my money. I lose my tokens left and right, and it never works for me. Today, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever had someone say to you, "You're crazy. What you just did was crazy. I don't believe you just did that." I once had a friend, we were down at the ocean, he jumped off a 49-foot cliff 8 times in a row just because we dared him to. His feet were so sore the next day he couldn't walk. I had another friend who walked into a crowded room with all of our friends and peed on themselves in public, all because someone said he couldn't do it. Have you ever heard of someone doing something crazy just because someone dared them to or told them to? Well, today we're gonna look at one of the first stories in the Bible where someone does something that we would say is crazy, but they did it just because God told them to. Have you ever done anything crazy? Maybe it was a crazy trick on your skateboard or dyeing your hair bright color, or maybe it was acting like really wild in a hallway to embarrass your sister. No matter what that crazy thing you did, I'm guessing you more than likely heard about it or saw it from someone else. Maybe a friend told you about it, maybe you saw it on TikTok, maybe you saw it on Snapchat, and for whatever reason, you're like, I've got to try that. So many of us, we do things because we see someone else do it. Or there's others of us who we want to do that crazy thing, or at least we want to try what's crazy to us, but we are so afraid of messing it up or being embarrassed, or we would be mortified if we tried and everybody saw and we failed. We've all seen the videos of someone doing something that we thought was crazy and saying, no way. Man, I gotta be honest, one of those videos for me is whenever I see people on those swings that go over canyons or on those like slingshot chairs that blast you into space, I'm like, no way, no way. I couldn't do that. It's too crazy for me. But here's the thing about God. God may ask you to do something that seems crazy. And when that time comes, we hope that we are all prepared to say yes to Him. We know that God does this because we've heard stories of God doing it. And one of the first crazy stories of God inviting someone to do something crazy is the story of Noah. Maybe you've heard the story of Noah as a kid. It's the story about the guy who builds a boat and all the animals come 2 by 2 and a rain and a flood and all of that. It's a wild story, but what makes it crazy is that God asked Noah to do something that for everyone living at the time would have hands down thought was crazy. That was asking him to build a boat, and not just any boat, a big boat. And why this is crazy is because Noah, he didn't live near a lake or an ocean. He didn't live near any water big enough for a boat that big. That's like you saying you're gonna build an ocean liner in your backyard. Cool to have, but super crazy to do because we're like hours away from the ocean. But God told Noah, it's gonna rain, and it's gonna rain a lot. And in fact, so much rain, you're gonna need a boat. So build a really big boat. And everyone around Noah made fun of him. They thought he was crazy. And I gotta guess that even Noah probably thought he had questions about his own sanity in this process. But here's the truth. There are times that God will ask you to do something that seems crazy to you and to everyone around you. He may ask you to not play a sport because the games are on Sunday and you need to go to church versus going to play a game. Or he may ask you to give money to someone when you've been saving that money for yourself. He may ask you to be honest, even though it will get you in trouble. He may ask you to not date that super cute guy, even though he wants to date you, just because you know it doesn't lead to a good place. Here's what you have to know. We can trust that God knows best. In Noah's day, no one understood why he was doing what he's doing. If they had understood, they would have jumped on board to help because they would have wanted to been on board when the rain came. Noah understood something that everyone around him didn't. He understood that he could listen to and trust God. Noah knew that if God asked him to do something, he could just simply follow. He could follow God's lead and do it. He didn't need to question God. He could simply follow God. Other people will have opinions about the crazy ways we follow God, but we can't let others' opinions stop us from listening to God. See, there's this really cool verse in Genesis 6, verses 22. It says, Noah did everything exactly as God had commanded him. That's something really amazing to be said about you. See, Noah didn't let others' opinions stop him from doing what God asked him to do. In the end, we see that Noah knew what was best because he knew God knew what was best. God saved Noah and his family because they chose to trust that God knew best and they could trust him. So we need to choose to trust that God knows best, even when we don't understand why, and just to ask God what to do. Our job is to not understand if God knows best. Our job is to trust he does know best. So what is God currently asking you to do? What is holding you back from trusting? How can you trust God and do what he asks, even if it doesn't make sense to you or to anyone else? Because who knows? Maybe because you trusted God, someone will be talking about your life in years to come, just like we're talking about Noah today. Guys, we can trust that God knows best. So let's trust him and see what he is inviting us to do.